you are getting a lot right with the work that you are doing, and you are also vice president of the organization. Let's talk about some of the things that have been going on with how the organization has been amplifying Black voices and supporting Black legislators, especially as we are here at this conference called Reimagining the American Dream.
For sure. You know, this is my 12th NBCSL. So,
yes, 12.
Right. I got elected like 3 weeks before my first conference. I won a special election in 2013. I replaced a legend, the first Black woman to be president of NBCSL, Representative Lois DeBerry. She was the first Black woman to be Speaker Pro Tem in Tennessee, second Black woman elected to the legislature, so a legend. So coming to NBCSL was a bit intimidating for me because it's like that's her, that she had just passed not that long ago before my entrance, right? People embraced me. It was so supportive. The policy work, it's just unchallenged. You can't find an organization with people who are dedicated to uplifting Black folks and supporting the folks in their district. So for me, this conference is like a homecoming. You get to see friends, folks that have become family, but you get to learn so much. And most of us go back to our legislative sessions in January, and we're going back with tools. We're fortified spiritually, but we're also fortified with policy that we know will impact African Americans in a positive way.
What are some of those things that you could say are in your toolbox that you want to get this year, or that you've gotten before that have really helped you when you get back to your district?
Yes, so our resolution process and our model legislation, that allows me to see what's working in other states and what I might be able to do in Tennessee. Representative Harold Love and I passed legislation around sickle cell. We had that in the form of a resolution, and now like 30 plus states have passed this legislation. So that's a true impact of an organization like NBCSL.
Wow. This year, DEI is a big conversation. During the campaign, we saw, or not during the campaign, but we have seen a rollback on DEI on the federal level, what's being passed in Congress, and now it's a state's game. We have companies consistently rolling back their DEI measures. How do you press forward in that fight, and how does that affect you and your constituents in Tennessee?
Well, I think we have to remember that anytime there's progress, there's always a pushback, right?
Yeah.
The ending of slavery, Reconstruction, then there's a pushback. There's Jim Crow. The end of Jim Crow, then there's a pushback, mass incarceration. President Obama was elected, then there's a pushback where people are defaulting from the Democratic Party. They're, trying to say, well, you all are post-racial now. You had a Black president. These things are not needed. The gutting of the Voting Rights Act. So we've dealt with these types of things related to affirmative action, all of these things, right? We have to pivot. It might not be called DEI, but it needs to accomplish the same goals. And that is really to help people achieve the American dream. No matter what your color or creed, no matter what your sexual orientation, none of those things should matter. You should be able to raise your family in a good community, to go to a good public school, to be able to have access to health care, and to be able to build a life for yourself. And so that's what's important to my constituents, and that's what we're going to be pushing back against. Y'all might not want to call it DEI, whatever, but you need to make sure that people have equal access to the opportunities that you have at your company. But it's been very disappointing. We have a guy in Tennessee named Robbie Starbuck who has kind of been leading the cause. Tractor Supply is based in Tennessee. They decided they were going to drop their DEI programs. Harley Davidson, I think obviously the recent one with Walmart, which is huge. Right. But I love that we've seen this revitalization of grassroots movements where people are saying, I'm not shopping where I, am not able to be hired. I'm not going to give folks money who support political campaigns that are anti to my very being. So it's going to be tough. It's going to be hard. But we've survived worse. We just have to keep our eyes on the prize.
As we end, looking forward, what's the roadmap for the organization? What is the call to action that you are giving to Black legislators?
I think our call to action is don't give up. We are still in the fight. We have to decide what that reimagined policy looks like, but we are in the fight. We are elected for such a time as this. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. We have constituents that, while they do not have a seat at the table, they have a voice, and it's our responsibility to make sure we're always elevating it. And so that's what I would tell legislators. And also, take a break if you need it. We are still human. I was
going to say, just pause for a minute because, off camera, I'm talking to many legislators, and I'm like, How did you feel
Yeah.
after the election? So I'm going to ask you, how did you feel after the election?
It was traumatic. I was at Howard with a group of friends, and I campaigned as a surrogate for Vice President Harris in North Carolina several times. And, you know, it said to us, I think a lot of black women collectively felt it, not even having conversations, that, you know what, we're always saving situations. And we had someone who was qualified, more qualified than probably anyone who's ever run for that office. And she was defeated by someone who has been convicted of 30-plus felonies, who does not value the very core of what it means to be an American, to uphold democracy in our Constitution. And so it was devastating, because it said, okay, black woman, we're not ready for you yet. Yes, we know that you are leading in so many things, but we're not going to let you lead our country. And so it was very hard.
What does it say about America, you think?
I think it says that no matter what people say, they still have these preconceived notions, and they're unwilling to get past it, whether you're looking at racism or you're looking at misogyny. And she had to deal with both of those. She had a very short campaign. I don't know what she could have done differently, but having to battle the concept of, oh, well, black men don't support her, and then having to actually... Which wasn't true. And then actually seeing the results where actually black folks universally supported, and it was white women and white men, and Latino women and Latino men who were voting against Kamala Harris. So it was very disappointing in our country. Just, where are we right now?